Dorothea Dix was an educator and social reformer for the welfare of the mentally ill. She led a widespread international reform. Dix's reforms focused primarily on the betterment of mental institutions and the improvement of the living conditions of the mentally ill and restoring the dignity of persons who suffered mental disabilities. Dorothea Lynn Dix was born on April 4, 1802 in Hampton, Maine to Joseph Dix and Mary Bigelow. At the age of 12, she moved out of her hostile environment and went to live with her wealthy grandmother in Boston. Her father was an alcoholic and her mother suffered from depression. Dix opened a school for children at the age of 14 and worked there for 3 years. Dix subsequently started teaching at a Sunday school in Boston Cambridge House of Corrections, a women's prison, where most of the inhabitants were mentally ill or deemed insane. Dorothea Dix's contributions to improving the lot of mentally ill greatly influenced the deinstitutionalization movement, improved the massive impact of the antebellum reform movements, and subsequent progressive era reform movements had a lasting impact on America's society.
Dix saw firsthand the mental instability of her parents, shown in her mother's depression and her father's alcoholism. This drove her to focus on the issue of asylum reform and rehabilitation areas for people with mental health. This was a major source of motivation for Dix. After working at a women's prison and seeing the appalling treatment of mentally ill prisoners, Dix went to court to improve the jail. She then rallied to get prisons to have better mental health institutions nationally. She lobbied at the federal level, and in 1848 she asked Congress to grant 12 million acres to benefit the mentally ill, including the blind and the deaf. All Congress approved this, but in 1854 it was vetoed by President Franklin Pierce. Dix was a leading figure in national and international movements that challenged the idea that people with mental disturbance could not be cured or helped. Dix then went to Europe and found that there was a difference between public and private hospitals. She recommended different mental health reforms in Europe and met with Pope Pius, who ordered a new hospital for the mentally ill after hearing her report. She returned to the US in 1856 and volunteered her services when the Civil War broke out in 1861. She was named the Superintendent of Nurses and was responsible for setting up field hospitals and first aid stations. Dix saw that the solution to this problem was more hospitals catering for mental health and prisons with better conditions. These adjustments would thoroughly change the lives of people living with mental health issues during the 1800s, which was why Dix was so passionate about the subject. I come to present the strong claims of suffering humanity. I come to place before the legislature of Massachusetts the condition of the miserable, the desolate, the outcast. I come as the advocate of helpless, forgotten, insane men and women, of beings sunk to a condition from which the unconcerned world would start with real horror. Dorothea Dix is recognized nationally for her help regarding mental health in this time period. She died in 1887 after being sick for many years.
Stay with me, 'cause you're all